Hey everyone, Mah-Dry-Bread here. Pokemon Heart Gold with only one Ladybug was such a brutal solo Pokemon run that I couldn't even beat it. Let's follow that up with a fun full team run for a change of pace. Today's the day that we figure out would I be able to beat Pokemon Platinum with a team of only gift Pokemon. Now, you probably already know what a gift Pokemon is since we've gone over it in the other gift Pokemon runs, but real quick, it's Pokemon where they're given to you with nothing in exchange. So trades don't count, just gifts. That means that for this game, we'll get our starter Pokemon, a Togepi egg, Eevee, a Porygon, and lastly, Riolu. So it's not even a full team of 6. Still, not the worst Pokemon I've used. I can do something with this. Like always, I'm writing the script as I go through with the challenge, so all this part is being written before I've started. Everyone comment down below and guess if I can win or not. I'm confident that I'll win in the end, but I'm not really sure how hard the mid-game is gonna be. Let's explain the rules. In combat, I can only use gift Pokemon. I'll need other Pokemon to use HMs, but I won't be allowed to use any of those Pokemon in battle. No glitches or exploits, no items in battle, only Pokeballs, held items, and items outside of combat are allowed. Also, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to like, subscribe, and ring the bell for more. Let's do this. No need for the randomizer this time, I just went ahead and picked up Piplup, the water starter. It'll be good for the first gym, and it's generally a pretty good Pokemon, although I worry that the grass gym could be a problem. Still, I think it'll pay off in the long run. Oh yeah, and like in the other gift Pokemon runs, I'm gonna name all my Pokemon after viewers of the show who make their own stuff online. I didn't tell them that I was gonna do that, I just tweeted out asking for people to link what they do. Some people don't like that I do this, they complain in the comments section, because it means that I'm like taking up part of the video's runtime to promote small YouTubers and streamers. To that I say, I don't care, I'm gonna promote them anyway. No one big promoted me when I was small, I'm happy to break the trend and make the change I wanna see. Could you imagine actually not watching a video because you didn't like that they promoted small YouTubers? I actually get those comments, unbelievable. So our first Pokemon is named after Perlene. I don't know how to say any of these names I'm going to be saying out loud, by the way, so I hope I'm pronouncing that right. She says she's been streaming some Genshin Impact on Twitch, and that she's got some YouTube stuff on the go as well. Now, I tried to do my due diligence and come to the stream to see what it was like, but I'm useless and missed every single time that it was live, so I had to catch one of the VODs instead. I want to point out that I have no clue what Genshin Impact is other than hearing the name, but it looks like a cool game. If that's your thing, then maybe give Perlene's stream a go. I'll link all of this stuff in the description. Naturally, in the early game, it goes pretty normally, considering, you know, the game assumes I'm using a starter for this part anyway. I predict things will go pretty smoothly until Commander Mars at the Valley Windworks. I could see that being a problem. The grass gym is also going to be awful, I'm sure. Personally, I'm just pumped for when I get to Hearthome and Veilstone to get some other Pokemon. The first rival fight is kind of funny. Starly was easy, but Turtwig pretty much threw the fight. We were dealing almost no damage, and we were forced to keep using Bubble since he was raising his defense. Thing is, he probably could have tackled us down, but instead he just maxed out his defense and lost in the process. I don't know why he would even do that. So this is the first real obstacle of the run, the rock gym, but for once I'm not really that worried thanks to having a water type. That said, I know Cranidos is only rock type, not rock and ground, so he might still take a few hits. We'll see how it goes. So, it was a close one. On the first try, we went in at level 15 and leveled up to 16 while taking out the easy Geodude and Onix. Cranidos hit really hard with Headbutt though, and was able to two-shot us. I decided to reload and hit level 16 outside of the gym battle so I could evolve, then come back. This time it only took 2 hits to take down Cranidos, and he did less damage, so it went fine. Good, I don't want to roadblock this early. Oh, and I've been told I say that Pokemon's name wrong, and yeah, that doesn't surprise me, I'm probably saying it wrong. So it's still a while before we get any new Pokemon. We're rolling with just starters for 3 more major fights. Commander Mars at the Valley Windworks, the Grass Gym Leader, and Commander Jupiter at the Galactic Hideout. Once we win those fights, we can get our hands on our next 2 Pokemon. Let's not waste any time. Mars is sometimes pretty rough, but she wasn't too bad this time. We have Bubble Beam now, so it's not too bad, 65 power. Purugly is pretty tanky and is faster than us, but we never got hit that hard, so we won. Next is this forest where we have to do double battles alongside someone with a Chansey. I love this part because we get to heal fully for free after every single battle, so I use this as one last chance to get a few more levels. We have a grass gym coming up, and right now Peck is our best move for it. We're not part flying type though, so no same type attack bonus. We have to get strong enough that this carries us through the fight. Alright, so this went worse than I expected. I thought that I'd at least make it a bit of the way into the fight, but nope. Turtwig was just hardly a 3-shot, and she has super potions, so she could never take him out. With even just a level or two, I could probably 2-shot him. 2 levels later, and we ran into a new problem. Turtwig keeps using Reflect to hang on way longer and deal more damage. We can take her out and get to Cherim, but she obviously takes us out quite easily. Let's reassess our situation. While I grind, let's go over what we can do. At level 33, we get Brine, a water move that's as strong as a Bubble Beam, but its power doubles if the opponent has less than half health. That's actually great for finishing off really tanky targets, but not super useful against stuff that we could have already beaten in 2 or 3 hits, since all of those would have fainted at less than half health in 1 hit anyway. Still, it's a good move, and I'll gladly use it, especially since this isn't a solo run, so it's entirely likely that switching to Perlene mid-battle to finish something off with Brine would end up being a great strategy. It could even win us the Grass Gym, but that might be pushing it. Let's do a little bit of quick math here. Brine is 65 power, so 135 power when they have less than half health. The same type attack bonus is 50%, so add 65 making Brine 200 power. Against Grass type, that cuts in half to 100 power. Peck is 35 power, double that to 70 power because it's super effective. So Brine at less than half health would be 20 more power than Peck. Plus we have better special attack than regular attack. I think I did that math right. If I'm wrong, then yell at me in the comments for the rest of time. I could say to check to see if someone's answered first, but let's be real, anytime I've ever said that doesn't happen. Everybody just comments it anyway. Dude, I still get told about mistakes I made in videos that are a decade old, and that I've been told about the mistakes a million times in the comment section. The whole comment section will just be the mistake made, and people will still comment saying it, somehow missing 100% of the other comments. YouTube is crazy. Okay, so I tried again. This time the fight pretty much went great until Roserade at the end, who paralyzed us right away. It was all downhill from there. She's got Magical Leaf, it never misses, and she hits pretty hard with it. You know what? We evolve in 3 levels. Let's just do that. So you'd think the next attempt would go amazingly, but it actually was really rough. Turtwig was a one-shot, but Cherim hit Leech Seed before going down. Because of that, Roserade at the end kept healing. We got paralyzed early, and between losing turns and the speed advantage, I thought we were doomed, but on the last turn, we managed to just hardly get her below half health, so I could finish the fight with Brine. With that down, we just have to go do the Galactic base before we leave town. Nothing here is hard until Jupiter, who brick walls us in quite a few runs. I think I should be able to handle the fight just fine this time though, but we'll have to wait and see. I'm more worried about the Ghost Gym after that. Okay, Jupiter was super easy. Bubble Beam did a great job of taking out her team with no real issues. With Jupiter beaten, Cynthia is here to give us our Togepi egg. Now, Togepi is a really awful Pokemon, and it's not even hatched yet, so we can't even level it up for a little while. But once we evolve this thing a couple of times, it'll be pretty useful. I think it's going to take a lot of investment though, so for now we just have to keep moving. Last bit of travel before we get our second Pokemon, then try the Ghost Gym. Problem is, the Pokemon probably won't be any good in the gym, so really it's up to Perlene to win us the fight. I'm getting as much experience as I can on the way because I don't think it's gonna go well. While we travel, this is a great time to talk about this video's sponsor, Chimera. In the previous ad, I was mostly talking about the hoodies, and I didn't want to overload your brain with knowledge of their sweatshirts. I figure you're probably ready by now, so here they are, starting with the quarter zip sweatshirt. It comes in black, gray, and dark blue. If you're like me, and you're the kind of person who looks better in a collared shirt, then this might be the way to go for you. But maybe you're more into the layered kangaroo pocket sweatshirt. These come in black, green, and oat. I don't think I've ever seen a color described as oat before, but yeah, kinda looks oat colored. This is great for if you want the pockets of a hoodie, but you know, not the hood part. Both of these sweatshirts are half ring-spun cotton, half fleece, so they're nice and soft. The kind of comfy shirts you can wear for years. This isn't fast fashion stuff, it's built to last. So if you want to support the channel and look good while doing it, hit up the link in the description to go to Chimera and pick up something warm to wear this winter. If you're going to go pick something up, then make sure to use the promo code Mah-Dry-Bread at checkout for 10% off of your order, and to let them know that I sent you. Now let's go get some new Pokemon. Before entering the Ghost Gym, we can grab an Eevee from Hardhome. It's a great Pokemon, but we won't really be able to make full use of it for a pretty long time. I plan to make this into a Glaceon, and as awesome as those are, the only way to get one in Platinum is to level it up near an Ice Rock, so the only place is right before the 7th gym of the game. It's gonna be a little while. For this one, we got the name Lynsneakers. Now, sometime between when I picked the names and between when I actually went to screenshot the tweets, they protected their Twitter account, so I can't actually see the tweet anymore. That's not going to stop me from finding a way to promote their channel though, because I already had their YouTube channel link open from before the tweet disappeared, and I refused to not promote the YouTuber. So on YouTube, they got loads of Metal Gear stuff, both new and old. I love that series, so I think all of this is super cool. I love the thumbnails too, probably better than my Let's Play thumbnails to be honest. If you want to check out some Metal Gear stuff, then check out Lynsneakers on YouTube. Again, link in the description. Well, the Ghost Gym was super easy. They just couldn't handle Bubble Beam. That makes me feel a lot better. The Ghost Gym is usually a rough one. The rival fight right after was a total squash. I think it's time that I slap an experience share onto Eevee and get some levels on it to balance out the team. So it's time to head east to Veilstone so that I can get new Pokemon. I'm not really sure what I'm going to do with Porygon once I get it, but I'm not exactly going to complain about getting a new Pokemon, even if it's not a great one. I wonder if maybe I should do a Porygon-only run sometime. Hey look, Togepi is hatching. Let's grab another name. For real? Alright, I scrolled a bunch and the person I landed on was Austin John Plays, who decided to link his SoundCloud where he makes music. I kind of feel like I don't have to explain who Austin John is, but for anyone who doesn't know, it's that guy. That guy right there. Once we get to Veilstone, I go ahead and get Porygon, our second from last Pokemon. This is always a fun one, lots of weird moves we don't usually get to use, and that I don't know any strategies with now that I think about it. Its stats aren't awesome, and it's not really amazing at any one thing, but we surely must be able to do something with this. For its name, we've got Slipmaker. He says he makes really long retrospectives on shows from the 2000s and 2010s, and he means it. Now, I don't watch any TV other than like some pro wrestling shows that are on TV, so I have no idea what any of these shows are other than hearing a few of the names before, but I watched that Breaking Bad video and it was really good. If you're into these kinds of TV shows, then go check it out. Now let's go do the fighting gym. First is Meditite, so I used it to switch train Togepi. It meant Perlene took an unnecessary hit though, that could bite us. Meditite was a one-shot, and second was Machoke, who went down in one hit. Last was Lucario, who right away we got outsped and hit pretty hard by with Drain Punch, but our Bubble Beam hit harder. Next round, he crit to bring us to only 4 health, as our Bubble Beam was just strong enough to take him down. Well, that was closer than it should have been. Okay, so the fighting gym is done, and there's nothing much we can do but walk to the water gym, but while we're traveling, it's Q&A time. Now, these questions are actually from the Snow Runt Emerald video still, since at the time that I'm writing this, the Heart Gold Ladybug video just isn't aired yet, since that one took forever and I'm late getting it up. But that's just how challenges go sometimes. The first question is from Zachaloid, who wants to know what emulators I use, and if I play DS games vertical, like on a real DS, or horizontal. Well, back in the day, and by that I mean both growing up and even like into the early Pokemon challenges, I would use VBA for Game Boy games, but like that's mostly just because it's an ancient emulator that I used to use when Game Boy Advanced emulation was new. Even when the Game Boy Advanced was new, I remember those days, which probably makes me absolutely ancient to some of you, but I'm only 30. Anyway, nowadays I use MGBA because that lets me hold auto-fire buttons rather than mashing constantly. I already ruined my first controller just by mashing in Pokemon runs, so for the sake of my hands and controller, I switched to an emulator that would make it easier on my hands and controller. For DS games, I use Desmume. I don't know if that's how that's pronounced, that's just always how I've heard it. And I like playing with the screens horizontal, personally. It just looks natural to me at this point. I've been doing it since high school, you know? Question number 2, and this is one that I get a lot, so I really want to answer it. Levi asks if I think I'll do a full Nuzlocke and also what my favorite Pokemon game is. Now, I've answered this Nuzlocke question like 100 times, but that's kind of the whole point of this Q&A section, for me to answer these questions in places where more people will hear the answer. I, unfortunately, do not like playing Nuzlockes. I've done it a few times over the years, I just don't find it fun. I like permadeath in games, just not in Pokemon. It's fun in stuff that's balanced for it, like RimWorld or like old Fire Emblem games. If you can call the SNES Fire Emblem games balanced, but I still love them. I don't want to play with permadeath in a game as random as Pokemon, especially when it means I just have to throw out my work every time I got mildly unlucky. Thankfully, there's about 1 million other YouTubers who do Nuzlocks, so you can just watch them. As for what my favorite Pokemon game is, I've actually got no idea. I'm terrible at picking favorites for anything. I like them all in their own way. That actually might be something to keep in mind for if you're going to ask me questions in the future. If you ask me what my one favorite thing is, or like a list of my top 5 or whatever, I can't answer you. If you just ask me to list a few of my favorites of something, then I can probably answer. Anyway, that was another fun Q&A session. Oh, by the way, I think I finally have a name for the Q&A thing that I'm happy with. I was gonna do MDB Q&A, but that's got an ampersand in it, and I want to make it as easy as possible to not mess up. So I'm thinking MDB AMA, all one word. MDB AMA, or for short, MDBMA. I'll put that on screen so that you can see how it looks. That way, I can just search that in the comments section to easily get all the questions you guys answered me, because there's no way people are going to be writing MDBAMA all one word if they aren't specifically trying to ask me something, you know? No one's going to accidentally write that in an unrelated comment and muck up the feed when I'm trying to find questions. Now, if you want to see your questions answered on the show, leave a comment with MDBAMA in it. Again, all one word. Now let's go do a rifle fight. Okay, this fight was crazy. I thought it was gonna be at least a little bit competitive, but we didn't even take a hit until the very end. Grottle probably could have been a problem, but I used Lynsneakers to sand attack him until his accuracy was ruined, then had Perlene finish it. Water Gym's next. First up is Water Onyx, so our attack is down from Intimidate, although I didn't use it. I just had to brute force Water Onyx with Bubble Beam. It sounds rough, but it wasn't really too bad because he could hardly hurt us back. Plus, a crit took him down early. Quagsire was naturally pretty easy since he's part ground type, so he doesn't resist Bubble Beam. It hit us with Mudshot to hurt us and slow us down though, so we didn't get through completely unscathed. Last was Floatzel, so I tried switching into the rest of my team to see if literally any of them could do anything, you know, just to test. But nope. In the end, I switched back to Perlene, who easily took them down. With the Water Gym done, we have to get through some new routes to get to the first Cyrus fight. Now, the first Cyrus fight is usually pretty easy, so I'm not really worried about it, but right after that is a rival fight that's sometimes hard, so I'm not really sure how that's gonna go. Only one way to find out. Okay, Cyrus was pretty easy. I mean, to the point that I used the whole fight to switch train weaker members of the team. We took some damage, but only really because of the switch training. We have a usually harder rival fight coming up, so let's hope that goes well. First was Staraptor, who was easy as usual, but second was Heracross. Peck does awesome damage for such a weak move, but his Brick Break nearly takes us down. Not a good start. Next is Torterra, and it could take down Perlene with Earthquake. So instead, I have Lynsneakers spam Sand Attack to ruin his accuracy. We got Leech Seeded though, so we didn't last super long. In the end, it didn't matter though, since Perlene came back in and one-shot it with Surf. I really didn't think that was going to be a one-shot. Rapidash was one-shot as well, and last was Floatzel, who was useless against Perlene. I guess I was wrong to worry. Right after the fight, Austin John evolves. Maybe I can actually start using him soon. Before going into the Steel Gym, I made sure to go to Iron Island to get our last Pokemon, Riolu. This little guy is pretty weak, but he becomes Lucario, and that's a really strong Pokemon. He's gonna cover our steel and fighting damage needs for the rest of the run. I'd love to use him at the next gym, but unfortunately, Riolu is in an egg and it hasn't hatched, so we're gonna have to wait for that. Oh, and while I'm here on Iron Island, I also got a shiny stone so that I can evolve Austin John again. I might hold off till I learn more moves though. Anyway, let's go do the Steel Gym. Magneton was a one-shot with Surf, Steelix was a one-shot with Surf, and last was Bastiodon, who was a one-shot with Surf. Man, hard fight. Didn't think I was gonna make it. So we've got a big travel-heavy part of the game now, where I visit the lakes, fight some commanders, and then travel up north to the Ice Gym. I think the gym will go fine, but mostly I'm just excited to finally get close to evolving this Eevee. I've been trying to keep its level up to date with what's around us, so as soon as we evolve it, we should be good. I'm gonna skip showing you the commanders since they're super easy. Let's just get up north. Okay, we're north of Mount Cornet. Okay, now there's an Ice Beam TM around here somewhere that I actually want to grab. See, I want Glaceon as my ice type, but it doesn't actually learn the best ice moves for a special attacker, so I'm gonna have to teach it Ice Beam so that we can hit the ground running with a good move. I'm sure that it'll be super helpful with the upcoming Cyrus fight. Problem is, we can't get the TM without Rock Climb, and we can't use that outside of battle until after the upcoming Ice Gym. So we gotta do that first. As soon as I get to the section with the Ice Rock, I grind Eevee near it until it evolves. We finally got our Glaceon. I think this thing is going to save us quite a bit in the final few fights of the game. For now though, let's go do the Ice Gym. Well, the whole thing was super easy with Perlene. We could have taken a lot of damage if Focused Blast actually hit us, but very first try and it missed, so it was super smooth. So next we have to go through a whole lot of Team Galactic grunts, fight Cyrus, then we climb a mountain and fight him again. If I remember right, Ice is pretty good here against a lot of the Pokemon Cyrus uses, so I think Ice Beam will help carry us there. That means we finally get to use someone other than Perlene for a major fight. Oh, and while I was traveling through, I used the Shiny Stone on Austin John, and I also gave him Shockwave. I'm actually thinking of buying him a Hyper Beam. It's 150 power, special, and normal type. This is before Fairy, so Togekiss is actually normal in flying and a special attacker, so Hyper Beam would be really strong. Not totally sure if I'm going to go that route though. Either than that though, I'm probably going to give him random moves for type coverage. So the Cyrus fight went great with Sneasel not hitting hard and both Honchkrow and Crobat going down in one Ice Beam each. Even with how well it's going though, I think I might want to level up in the mountain. See, we're in a weird situation. Perlene is strong, but isn't going to be able to carry us through the entire Elite Four alone, and our next best member is Lynsneakers, who hits super hard with Ice Beam, especially with the Never Melt Ice I gave her, but is pretty much useless if they resist Ice. That means I need Austin John to catch up a little bit to help out the team, and then there's Slipmaker, who I've hardly used and is just slowly catching up with an experience share. Porygon is unfortunately the weakest Pokemon we have access to, so this is kind of to be expected. Hey look, the Riolu egg is hatching. That means it's time for me to go get another random name. For the name of the last Pokemon, we landed on Evil Zero. I don't know if it's pronounced like Evil O or Evil Zero, but I'm gonna guess Evil Zero. Anyway, he does insane Kaizo Mario World stuff. If you don't know what that is, I'll show you a little bit of it here on screen. It's these ROM hacks for Super Mario World that are loaded with insanely hard levels that only like the best players in the world can master. I grew up playing a lot of Mario, but I'm nowhere near this good. This takes some pretty dedicated long-term practice. I'll have a link to his Twitch in the description if you want to go check his streams out. Actually, now that I think about it, half you guys probably know what Kaizo is. You probably know Kaizo Pokemon stuff. As far as I'm aware, the Kaizo Pokemon stuff was kind of an offshoot of the Mario Kaizo stuff. Unless my history is completely wrong, which it could be, and if it is, someone will yell at me in the comments. The double battle at the top of the mountain was actually pretty funny. Normally the problem here is that our partner has his useless Munchlax spamming Stockpile and Swallow just to waste time, so I used Surf. Surf hits both enemies and your partner in double battles, so I forced his Munchlax to faint so that he'd send out something better to help me. It worked and we won easily. Hey look, the Distortion world. I feel like this place is a big deal, so I shouldn't skip over it, but at the same time, there's literally no fights here other than Cyrus, so guess we're fighting Cyrus. First is his Houndoom, and we miss Will-O-Wisp right away, so we one-shot it with Surf. Awesome start to the first try. Water Onyx is next, so I have Austin John come out. I tried fighting it for a little bit, but he got destroyed. Oh well. Back to Perlene. See, the reason why I didn't want Perlene to fight it from the start is because of Earthquake. At least this way, we only get hit by it once before taking him down. Next is Haunch Crow, who I one-shot with Ice Beam, but not before Lynsneakers got crit from full health to only 2 health. That was terrifying. Weavile's next, so I just had Perlene do the fight since I knew she'd be too tanky for Weavile to do anything, and I was right. We won no problem. Last was Crobat. I tried having Lynsneakers finish it off, but obviously she was too slow, so Perlene just did it with a few hits of Surf. Crobat tried to heal and outlast us, but could hardly hurt us, so we were fine. Let's go do that Electric Gym. So first try at the Electric Gym was weirdly awful, where I pretty much knew I was doomed from the very start of the run when we got paralyzed, but I managed to struggle my way through most of his team just by throwing everything we had at him and getting some decent luck in the process. We got to his last Pokemon, but there was no chance we could take him down. I think it's time that we have a serious grind session, then come back. I also went ahead and got the TM for Earthquake from the Wayward Cave. We have a few choices on who can learn it, but I gave it to Eevee. He's a high attack Pokemon with an attack nature. It really seems like the best choice. Right, Electric Gym time. First is Jolteon, who went down in 2 hits of Surf, but managed to paralyze us and deal a great deal of damage with Charge Beam twice, thanks to us being fully paralyzed. So Perlene is almost down. Bad start. I sent an Eevee to handle Raichu, and we lucked out with his Focus Blast missing, so we can just one-shot him with Earthquake. Luxray was almost a one-shot from Ice Beam, but held on, hitting a shockingly weak Fire Fang on us. Lynsneakers did a pretty good job of taking him down. Last was Electivire, and this one was pretty tough. I tried finishing it with Lynsneakers, and she did good damage, but he did more. We ended up having to finish the fight with Eevee. Still, could have been worse. Okay, only 6 major fights left in the whole run. Our last rival fight, the Elite Four, then the Pokemon Champion. I'm feeling good about my chances against most of the Elite Four, but I could see Lucian being a real problem. I could also for sure see Cynthia being an issue, although I think a bit of leveling up would fix that. I'm pretty sure our rival won't be too bad, and that's first, so let's get that over with. Staraptor is first, so I one-shotted with Ice Beam, but not before it nearly one-shot Lynsneakers with close combat. I should have planned that out better. Second was Rapidash, so I just started having Perlene one-shot it with Surf, although we got burned in the process. Torterra was next, so I used Surf just like last time, we crit and got a one-shot again. Wonder if I needed that crit. Heracross is next, so I had Austin John use Fly. Heracross was faster and nearly one-shot us with close combat, but that lowered his defense, so our Fly easily one-shot him in return. Second from last was Floatzel, so I just stayed in to try and hit something, but got taken out by Ice Fang. That's fine. I sent in Eevee. Although he did awesome damage and one-shot him, we took tons of damage from his close combat first. He really loves that move. And I can see why, it's great! As an example of how great it is, I used it to one-shot his final Pokemon, Snorlax. That was pretty awesome. Now that we're at the Elite Four, let's take a look at our team. Well, I still don't really feel like using Porygon for anything, but Lynsneakers and Perlene are both pretty good. Eevee still has some potential, although I'm sure he needs more levels. I'm not feeling confident yet. Make your final guesses on if we can win this or not. Let's do this. First is Bug Trainer Aaron, Yanmega is first, so we just land a one-shot with Ice Beam, and second is Scizor. He wasn't too bad, just 2 hits of Surf, as he hit a reasonably high damage crit. For Heracross, we lucked out as he missed Stone Edge, so we nailed a one-shot with Fly. Next is Drapion, the Pokemon whose type I never remember. Dark and Poison? Maybe Ground? I don't know. He was easy with Perlene, who I just realized I think I've been calling Purloin half the time. I'm sorry. It's Pokemon names. I just used Surf a bunch. I knew he could poison us, so that's why I went with a steel type, forcing him to use pretty weak moves instead. Once he went down, Aaron sent out his last Pokemon, Vespiquen. This was the whole second half of the fight. I tried using Austin John for a while until I realized she can out-heal us, and she keeps increasing her defense, so I ended up putting her to sleep and switching to Lynsneakers. It took a while, but between careful use of Ice Beam and Ice Fang, I managed to take her down. And by careful use, I mean I landed a crit eventually, and that did the trick. Hurrah for crits! Second is Ground Trainer Bertha. There's pretty much nothing to say about this one. The only one who would deal any real damage to us was Gliscor, and it was still just a one-shot with Surf, so, you know, water moves are just too good for this fight. Third is Fire Trainer Flint. Honestly, I thought it would be really easy, and it went awful every time. We don't really have a level lead anymore, so we don't have the speed advantage, and that means that Perlene takes a ton of unnecessary hits. We have Evil Zero with Earthquake, and they would be great if not for how he's too slow and is also weak to fire, so they can all one-shot him. They've actually got a lot of moves that are specifically good against Steel, so that's a real issue. In fact, they have a lot of moves that are super effective against the entire team. I should really just run through the Elite Four for more levels and then keep trying. Okay, after tons of run-throughs of the Elite Four for levels, Lynsneakers is finally fast enough to do some damage. Houndoom and Flareon were both one-shots, so the first threatening one was Infernape, who I had Austin John fight with Fly. We did some great damage, but thanks to his healing, he didn't go down. In fact, he ended up healing again right after he took us down, but it wasted his turn so I could have Perlene use Surf for a much-needed one-shot. Megmortar was faster than us and did great damage with Thunderbolt, but we landed a one-shot in response. Last was Rapidash, who wasn't quite a one-shot but could hardly hurt us with Solar Beam, so it went fine. Fourth is Psychic Trainer Lucian. First is Mr. Mime, who used Reflect, so I just used Surf twice to take him down. We took a big Thunderbolt though, that wasn't fun. Gallade was second, and this thing is a beast, easily taking down most of our Pokemon in most runs. I had to throw Lynsneakers at it just to end up dealing some damage while fainting, then I had to do the same with Perlene. The only reason we knocked it out was because of a lucky crit. By the time we got to Alakazam, it was obvious we couldn't win the fight. I was throwing what I had at him and dealing decent damage, but we were pretty much just using the scraps of our team. This isn't good. Maybe I could put Shadow Ball on Lynsneakers and get some levels on her so she has the speed advantage? That might work, her special attack is pretty good. A few run-throughs of the Elite Four later, and honestly, it doesn't help much. We're still slower than most of his team, so no matter what, Lynsneakers only gets to land one hit before going down. We don't really have any great options for dealing with Psychic types that are faster than us, we just have to level more. Okay, more levels later and another 8 tries. Trust me, I lost this so many times just trying to experiment with how to do this fight. So this time, we open against Mr. Mime. Sometimes he ruins it with Light Screen, but this time he used Reflect so we could one-shot him. For Bronzong, we use Perlene, and although we do great damage, he has Earthquake. Thankfully, his attack stat sucks, so we didn't take too much. Out to Austin John for Gallade, and right away I went for Sweet Kiss to confuse him, but missed. I kept trying just to get nearly taken out by Stone Edge, but at least we confuse him. I went for Fly as he hit himself, and Reflect wore off, and we actually took him down. This is great. Alakazam is next, and he missed Focus Blast on Lynsneakers, so we nailed a one-shot. We're dodging bullets left and right here. Last was Espeon, and I tried fighting it with Lynsneakers. He did great damage, but he couldn't quite get the knockout, so in the end, Perlene had to come in and save it. Hey, a win's a win. I'm just happy to finally make progress again. Finally, Pokemon Champion Cynthia. First is Spiritomb, so I just used a couple of Surfs. It hardly hurt us. Second is Garchomp, so I sent in Lynsneakers. Garchomp may be her strongest Pokemon, but it's super weak to Ice. It brings us from full health to just below half with Earthquake, and we one-shot it with Ice Beam in return. Out to Evil Zero to deal with Lucario. It's a Lucario mirror match. Ours was faster, so I just landed a one-shot with Close Combat. Out to Lynsneakers to Ice Beam her Togekiss, and it actually went down in one hit. Next is what I was worried about, Melodic. All it used was Mirror Coat though, so I just had Evil Zero use Close Combat to beat it. Last was Roserade, and I went for Ice Beam to one-shot it, but it outsped us and took us out with Sludge Bomb. That's fine. I just sent in Evil Zero to overpower it with Close Combat, and it did a great job. She was able to do a good chunk of damage with Extra Sensory, but we finished it off with another hit of Close Combat, winning us the fight shockingly easily, and getting us into the Hall of Fame. That was a fun run. We weren't too limited on Pokemon, but we were forced to use some weird type combos. I always love Eevee in these gift Pokemon runs. It's fun to have one Pokemon where we get to pick the type, customize the team a little, you know? I really hope you guys like that run. The next Pokemon challenge should be up next Saturday like usual, with Pokemon Black with only one Deerling. As always, I'm looking forward to your suggestions in the comments, in the challenge request section of my Discord channel, and on Twitter. Subscribe, ring the bell, stay tuned. Outro time. Normally I ad-lib a whole bunch here, but I want to try and keep it a little bit short today, mostly because I still have a lot to do. Normally, I'm sure a lot of you have seen that series I did like years ago where I show you all the steps of how I make these Pokemon challenge videos so that you can make them yourselves. I did a whole series on that. It might be linked in the description. I don't remember if I linked those in the description, but you can find it in my playlist section. Anyway, normally I do like 2 gyms 5 days a week. Well, you know, 4 days a week I do 2 gyms, and the last day I beat like the Elite Four and stuff. And then every day I also do a certain amount of steps of my editing process where I have the editing broke down to like 5 days worth of work. But this week I'm doing a little different where I like doubled up on Pokemon playing for the first half of the week, and I'm doubling up on editing for the second half. And the voiceover is essentially the first step of editing, because I need the voiceover done to be able to edit the video. But because I'm doing it a little bit differently, the schedule is a little bit different this week, and my work schedule is different, and I gotta rush to get some stuff done, because you know, there was that late video a while back, and that's just how the cookie crumbles sometime. At the time that I'm voicing this over, though, health is doing pretty well. I have one more physio appointment that is booked, and they will assess from there to see if I need any more, at least in the short term. It's entirely possible that I'm only getting one more physio appointment, which would be really nice. My recovery got hampered a little bit because I injured my arm a little bit a few days ago. I was carrying stuff down the stairs, and my cats decided it would be a real fun time to run in front of my feet. So I fell. I was fine. I didn't really fall down the stairs. I just slipped on one stair and slammed my arm so hard into the ground. Oh, it disgusting bruise. But it's been a few days and it's getting a lot better. But that actually hampered my ability to stretch my neck and fix up my neck, because some of the neck stretches require you have your hand like on the top of your head for it. And I couldn't get that muscle in my arm to engage properly. It was so messed up the first day. But it's been a few days now, and it's moving way better, and it's way less sore, and I'm moving properly, and I can stretch again. So it probably only set me back a couple days. It's fine. Don't worry about it. I'm rambling too long anyway. I should get editing this voiceover. Thank you everybody so much for watching, and until next time, have a nice day.